Uh, all right.
Hey.
Well, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. It's so good to see all of you. It's so good to see everybody in the space. Welcome to the Valley. Good to see everyone's face in the place. Glad to be here. I am joining you actually from Pittsburgh. I'm going to do a hat switch right now, and just so I can stay a little bit warmer. And it is so good to just be alive, right? We woke up this morning, we're alive, we're present, we have the opportunity to share in community, we have the opportunity to be with each other, we have the opportunity to listen, hold space, and show up in ways that honestly allow for us to be authentic. And that is today. Today is just gonna be an authentic, organic, creative day. And I think that is the best part of our own human experience, that sometimes the things that we actually have planned are not necessarily planned, but always improv, always actually just happening on the cusp. Sometimes there are slight alters and shifts in time. Maybe you're late to something and you just so happen to arrive at the very moment that you thought you were late, but you actually are more probably experiencing a great moment where you're like, I'm actually on time for what I needed in my life. And that is a very important factor. And so I invite us to just take that moment and let us just share in a breath before we get started. A few deep breaths, take in that fresh air that you're breathing wherever you are, whether you're in your room, whether you're outside. If you're watching this virtually and your phone is right underneath your nose, you can breathe in all of the cell, all of the little molecules in there, and just take a deep breath in with me. Ready? 1, 2, and let it out. One more time. And let it out. Let's rest in that. I would like to offer us the opportunity to do some joys and concerns. We did this last week where we had the opportunity for folk to share about events and things that are happening and going on in their life that they seek to respond to. A joy can be something that is positive. A concern can be something that is probably bringing some challenges. And at the same time, joys and concerns can show up in various ways because they are only experiences. And you, depending on your mindset, dictate how those experiences inform what is a joy and concern. So I invite anyone to open up and unmute themselves to share in that commentary and just offer something that is probably resting on your mind or resting on your heart.
I had a joy this week. I had the opportunity on Thursday evening to get together with some very good friends. And on Friday afternoon, I got to get together with another friend for lunch. And so it was a great couple days.
I also have a joy. I'm in the process now of having some circus performances. I've already done 2 out of 4 now. I have 2 more coming up this coming weekend, and I'm really excited for those.
Thank you so much, Phyllis and Lena. Is there another?
I'm going to have a joy this week. In fact, it's going to happen this coming tomorrow. In fact, both Pat and I are going to be fortunate enough to have the little ones at the house. That's the grandchildren, Roman, Renzo, and Adelina, and their father, Dustin, for dinner. And it'll be great to see the little ones again with the COVID kind of slowing down a little. And we're still keeping our close bubbles as far as that's concerned. We have had more and more opportunities to engage with them. And it just brings a spark of life to me. I mean, it's my joy as far as life is concerned to see these little ones. And I'm just very, very excited about seeing them again and spending some time with them.
Are we just doing Joyce?
No.
Okay. Seeing you and Jelana was a joy this weekend. I haven't seen Jay in person in years, and it's been very, very hard. And even though I show up to the Valley and I show up to Keep Living, it's like, what I'll do just to see Jay again in person. So seeing you this weekend has definitely been a joy. As well as my sister is graduating today. She graduated in 2020, but she gets to walk today. So that'll be a joy to finally see her walk, because it's something that she has been waiting for a long time, and she was really, really looking forward to her walking and didn't get it, but now she got it. So that's what I'll be doing this today, is hanging out with my sisters and my family. So yeah, seeing Jay and Jelana yesterday was a joy. The sorrows that I didn't have enough time with you two. I really would get to experience Pittsburgh with you, but we'll have our time for sure.
We will. I know for me,
Just say that I've gotten a lot of joy just now listening to everyone's joys. It makes me very happy that there's so many of us who have joy in our lives, and with all that's going on in the world and in our own nation, to know that there are wonderful things in our lives that we are experiencing.
yes. Lena has put in the chat, I have a joy, but also a kind of a concern, because it's been a little sad. I'm going to be graduating from Transition Plus in June of this year. And so congratulations, Lena. And I'm sure it is always challenging to watch those transformations happen. Transformations can both bring, a joy, but also a concern, because it's like, what do I do next and how do I move forward? So those are very real things. Guy, we're just doing some joys and concerns. If you want to add anything, that you feel free to. I just wanted to just inform you. So while we're all here together.
Well, I should put my video back on here. There you go.
Oh, your video was on.
You were
Oh,
on.
Okay. All
There
right.
you go.
For about the last 20 years, or probably maybe more than that, when everybody would ask me how I'm doing, I would almost always say fabulous, or at least trying to talk myself into it. So I'm doing pretty good. I don't have any really serious sorrows to share. My granddaughter had a bit of a problem, but it's a little complicated to explain. But basically, she spent the last year, her senior year at Devotech, to become a CNA. And now, no fault of her own, she's not going to be able to complete it. And which is pretty disappointing. She's pretty bummed about it, but she's 17. Life goes on. If she's really serious about it, she'll figure out a way to make it happen. So,
Oh,
so I think everything's going good for me at the moment.
I saw
Great.
a picture of
Busy.
you, Guy. I enjoyed the photo of you, and well, you weren't in the photo because I assume you were taking the photo.
Yeah,
Led
yeah, I
by the
took-
crew at a cabin.
Yeah, that's right along the river. We meet there most every morning. Friday morning is usually the biggest group. I should have taken the picture facing the other way, and you could have saw how close it is to the river. I'll do that the next time.
Well, I will say that I am really grateful. I am grateful to be in Pittsburgh. I am grateful for, yeah, there are a lot of joys. And I will be honest, probably my joys are just about as measured with my concerns. And I think that's because I hold concerns really, I see concerns as this moment where, like, I have to find my joy. right? Because my joy, like my concern requires for me to seek out ways in which I can create something out of it to find my joy. So there's a lot of things that I'm sitting with. I went to Ohio. I was nervous that they were not going to renew my contract again. They decided actually to pull me aside, had a serious conversation with me, and actually they were not only just interested in renewing, they were actually interested in talking about me being full-time and still being virtual. And so that's very unique. Because anybody who knows, you don't have a professor that travels and does Zoom. And so that's a thing for them to consider, especially theater, right? So like you normally have to be very in person and stuff. So I will say I was kind of grateful that they wanted to be creative with me. And I have to say that has been a very important factor lately, to think about, how we come together and how we create together. It's one thing for us to come together and do this work on justice, but it's another thing for us to come together and do this work and create together, right? And that is where I think that if we're going to do this work around involving cultural humanism, that it should be attached to creation, that it should be attached to investing in each other's liberation. Also, while I was here in Pittsburgh, there was an amazing event for celebrating May Day, which was like kind of like a international no worker day. I don't know how to really describe it, but it's really been powerful to see various performers, various artists and creative innovators and intellects gather together, parading the streets, sharing in the craft of unity and community, and also creating opportunities for people to share their work. I think that is something that has been very interesting, and how, like, this is a neighbor, Pittsburgh is a neighboring city to our Lewisburg community. So it's just really awesome to also see who's out here. Not just Carolyn. There are folk who are really doing some heavy lifting and groundwork here too. And so like how we share in those communities is very important. And yeah, and I think I'm trying to figure out as a concern, and my creative concern, I'll say it like that, my creative concern has been, how do we take what we're doing here, right? And how do we bring that to the community, our neighboring communities? What we have in the Valley is so wholesome, but sometimes particularly our urban environments don't get a chance to experience that. They don't get a chance to experience hospitality in the way that is created at the Valley. And I can be very transparent about that. And so I think about the Valley and I think about, what could our relationship be with Pittsburgh? What could our relationship be with Baltimore? What could our relationships be? Because we want to create spaces where we can transform. And so I just wanted to share that with y'all. And that way we're doing some joys and concerns, Olivia and Amir. So good to see you. Yes. And so feel free to share.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I joined a little late.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Subbing out with Jesse on the family side. I mean, I don't know how global you're going, but today I'm feeling most of my joys and concerns on a very local kind of family and friends level. So my mom was just wrapping up a visit, and she comes out here when she can, a few times a year, for usually just like a couple of weeks to see Aviv, the little one. That's nice to think that she's coming to visit me, but it's sort of once you have a child, that's a whole other ballgame. But she came and visited and stayed with us, and it was really, really nice. And I feel like she got to see more of Lewisburg and Aviv interacting with it, and it was just really it was really joyous in that sense, like for them to experience each other. And I know my mom doesn't want to miss her kind of growing up, and Aviv's getting to the point where she's actually talking more and interacting. So it was really sweet. But then, she like just left as the school started, and Aviv was like really sad to see her go. And my mom was crying, and then she was crying. And then I'm in tears, and like I've never seen her crying like that because someone left. So it just like reminded me of my whole weird growing up as well, with family, like close family, and even my dad overseas, and like separating for long periods of time, and being able to stay with social relationships when they're so like long distance, even with your own family. It's not easy. So yeah, so it's kind of an interesting time. And, at the same time, in the past week with my mom here, we've met more people around Lewisburg. Like, I feel like the pandemic sort of, easing up a little bit has been an opportunity to see more, and even see more of you all, and CJ and Olivia and, others in person. It's just been really nice too. So just thinking, a lot about that, sort of the joy of connection, and also, the challenges that have been around staying connected, just socially. So that's where I am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Just want to hold space. Olivia, did you want to offer anything?
We're sharing joys.
Joys and concerns, either is fine, wherever you are. And I know you've had a journey. So
Yeah, I don't know. I keep thinking about the impact of like being in New York and then being in Pennsylvania with y'all. And I guess similarly, it's really opened me up to like, I don't know, the conversation we had about like community and why some people don't come to community, and like thinking about communal trauma, which I think a lot of communal trauma has origins in religious trauma, because that's a big part of US community is religion and church. And I guess especially coming out of the pandemic, and just all the conversations, even the small moments conversations that I've had, has been like a running theme of communal trauma. And I guess when I got back to Cincinnati, I was realizing how much I had been in my own kind of communal trauma, just been super isolated. And yeah, I've been reflecting on a lot of that. And I guess the moments like being with you all and like being in Pennsylvania and New York was a nice getting out of my comfort zone to like realize that I guess I had some like internalized like, oh, I'm not ready to be in community, or scared of it, and to a degree. And so I came back here, and literally this morning and my dreams helped too, but I literally had a like huge epiphany that like of like how I could actually, I guess the confidence from being in Pennsylvania made me realize how I actually can be in community here. And honestly, it was actually specifically something that Jesse said to me. Because I was like super nervous to be there, and I sat down and Jesse was like, you have a very zen, or like a very zen presence. And I was just like, I don't know, that just really, she specifically said, I'm sure you hear this a lot. And I was like, I do hear this a lot. And you're saying it to me now too. So why do I feel like I will be some like disruption to community or something? I don't know. But so, so that's been a joy. Like, and it was a joy that came from like, I was intensely on my menstrual cycle yesterday, intense pain and lots of crying. So it was a whole alchemical process coming to this realization and then a dream. So
Yes.
yeah, it's been great. And lots of like feeling like, yeah, after this pandemic, I am like ready to like get back out there and like be a community, and through that process, learning how I can then assist when like we are talking about like Patty and I are talking about like how do you encourage people to come into community when they're traumatized by community and will enter community and probably be re-traumatized because it's all internal to some point. And so, yeah, just going through this process has like helped me, and it's helped me help myself be able to like see how to like maybe help others through it. So yeah, joys, those some joys.
Oh wow, this is yeah, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. I know that some of us have just been slowly trickling in. I am actually, and I know that some of us are connecting. You will probably hear actually some loud noises because I have my little Niblings are going to be running around the hallway in a few minutes, and so there's not much I can do about their energy level. And so yes, so we were saying we're fitting to be neighbors. Yes, exactly, Liv. This is exactly. I think exactly. I think that Olivia is in healthy discernment. Thank you, Jesse. So we could please, Amir, make sure that Jesse knows this, because you know, Jesse does come in like a little ethical ninja and offers these little wisdoms, and then is like, you know. And I always appreciate that about her. You know, she did it to my mom. My mom was just talking about Jesse when we were up there, and just, I mean, it just lasted a whole week. So her presence is definitely loved and felt. I'm gonna send let me send, actually, I need to send a link to one of our dear ones who was trying to get in, because internet is a thing. As we move forward, though, I would like, if you can, for those friends who can put in the chat, and Patty, if you want to just collect from the physical space, I would just love to see if we were to choose one word, if possible, one word. I know that's very hard for some of us, especially like myself. One word that is resonating with you for today. And maybe it's not just one word, but what brought you back today? I would love to just see those words, maybe just one word, that what brought you back today? Even if it's a person, even if it, like, what brought you back today? That would be great.
Okay, we have Phyllis said family
You're gonna type it in?
brought her back today. Did you want me to type these?
Yes, type those in, yes. Mm-hmm. Just put them in the chat, and I'm going to look at them.
Fellowship.
Okay.
Hey, when people are rating, what do you call your little ones? Niblets.
Niblets, yes.
Niblets, okay. I like that
Niblets
terminology.
yeah, niblets or niblings, either will suffice. When we have, you know, for some progressive families that don't necessarily require their children to engage in pronouns like he and him. And if they are like, and if they see themselves as like maybe like a nephew or niece, because I do adoptions, like, right, like my collective adoption, your mom, your pop, you know, I do those things. Because they're a progressive family, and I honor that, I say niblets or niblings.
I also say niblings.
It actually, because honestly, you know, if you think about it, it's probably it's one of the few words of family constructions that you like. You can say children, right? When you say like you have, you know, a girl or a boy, you can say children as a collective, and it's just what it is. But when, you know, when you're outside of that, you're like an uncle or whatever, you say your nephews or your niece, which dictate, particularly within our language, very specific gender applications. And so collectively, I just was like niblings, you know, because they both start with an N, and they can be niblings or niblets.
It's also,
Very good.
I have a big family, so I have like 15 niblings. You know, I have a bunch of siblings. Like,
Yeah.
it's just helpful. It's more helpful for people to understand, because I don't like breaking down the numbers. Like, we're just
Like, I have 13.
with the Black family dynamic, these things are kind of like fluid in a way. Like,
Yes.
strict, what you would seem to be like strict auntie uncles is very like loose, and like community auntie and uncles. So these are people that aren't necessarily blood or related, or necessarily are actually that title. Like, I have cousins that I consider my niblings, because they're my cousin. We all grew up in the same house, so it's just it gets complicated, but it's just what we do.
Yeah. So no, please feel free to engage
Creative
and share it. It helps us share in that kind of collective conversation. Now, like we know, and I think that's one of the things here. I love what I've, you know, I'm seeing. But yeah, that's how this works here. I'm so grateful, because like, and it's y'all will get a chance, but Amir has heard me mention their name, because we were in conversation a while back about some stuff. But I'm with actually Madeline, who is an amazing author, and she's an author who focuses particularly on novels, creative fiction novels around Appalachia. And so this work is really, really good. Matter of fact, Olivia, if you can you find maybe 2 of her books online, just to show, just to send people in the chat? Thank you. Just so that people know, like, if they ever wanted to read her stuff, what it is. It's really, really beautiful stuff, very creative. And her partner, Kuze, who is also who is Potawatomi, right? Am I saying that right? I think it's Potawatomi. And they are, he's, he very like in, you know, a deep relationship with the land and the earth, and First Nation. And they often go up in Minnesota to fight against the pipelines and things. Very, very active family, rooted in social engagement, arts, and theater. So I have asked Madeline to come multiple times, but Madeline has been super, super busy. But I promise you, as soon as y'all get a chance, y'all will have the opportunity to experience them in their fullness, and in the power of their work. So yes, she's an incredible author. And I just will say, like, I think that I'm biased, even when about my own, even about our community. I'm like, I know the best. I do. I know the best. I don't care if you don't think of yourself as the best. I know the best because I work with the best, and I make things happen in the way that I do because I do know the best, and I'm influenced by them, and I'm influenced by us and what we do. And I think that's what's also just kind of exciting about these moments. And so it doesn't take a lot of accolades. It just takes a really strong character to do what we do right now. So I just want to go back and sharing some of these words that are coming up, right? Patty says family. Amira is saying social connection. Carolyn is saying family as well. There's fellowship. Lena is sitting with the honest truth, doesn't know how to really answer yet. But Carolyn is also saying bond. And I see Patty saying commitment. Olivia is saying commitment. I offer the word energy in the space, community, friendship. Yes, Lena. And yes, guys, learned a new word, Niblings. And so now we have another reason to come back because we have Niblings. And we are all now, we're gonna all become Niblings in this very moment. Yes, and thank you, Livia, for putting in the chat some of these books and things of Madeline's. And so I thought this is really great because as we think about as these are the things that make us join in, that make us go search through the internet to find the link, or or go through that old Facebook scroll, or open up the email that you ignored last week because it was just like, oh, and now you're like, oh, I need to hop in. Or whether it's the moment where it's just like, you're down the street and you really, it's 1:30, it's raining, it's like, I don't want to get up, but you just gotta come. You just gotta be here. Whether it is so cold and it is frigid and you just want to stay in the toasty warm bed, you were like, it's that thing that just makes me want to get out of bed. It's the thing that makes me want to just hop up. I feel like these words are great. And I feel like, if you don't mind, I hope to offer these words throughout our short time together. If you are not familiar with the Valley, if you are joining us from actually our larger virtual community, this will be up on Facebook and so forth, I just want to remind you that when we are here in this space, particularly our community and how we come together, that our community really comes together because our mission is a community for all walks of life. It's not just, one kind of group of people, it's all walks of life, and to learn and to grow together and to share in values and in doing good and in nurturing the human spirit. I mean, here we get a chance to do that. Just the very moments of joys and concerns allows for us to feel nurtured already in our spirit. It reminds us, hopefully, after we leave here today, to feel a charge of constantly doing good and never grow tired in well-doing. My mother would used to say back in the day, things like that we have in this space, even when things, when we feel stifled, when we feel like we're having shortcomings, we have the ability in this space to actually grow together, because we water each other with not only just words of affirmation, but presence. And if we have nothing else to say other than I don't know, thank you for sitting in my curiosity, my confusion, and my misunderstanding, and allowing for me to work it out in this space. That is the beauty of facing that we face as we come together as congregation. For me, congregation is an antonym for segregation. So if you are joining us for the first time virtually, and you feel like you want to join us maybe a different way on Zoom, feel free to tune in. And so we just send you a lot of love for the Facebook family and everybody else who will probably join us in the near future. But I want to take this opportunity. Patty, can you make me a co-host? We're going to do something really fast. And me and Patty are going to share the screen together, because Patty actually called me for my message and then gave me a revelation. And I don't know if y'all have seen, but with this, we're going to pin Patty, and Patty's going to be with me on this one. Let's see here. Add a pin. There we go. And the rest of you should be able to kind of see yourselves at the top. or if you're using your phone, you would probably only see me and Patty on the screen. And so that's how it should look. Or is everybody see? Is that what you're seeing on your television end, Patty?
No, we're not seeing that on the television, no.
Okay, give me a quick second. On the television, you still have the collective, right?
Yes.
I want you to, Patty, can you do me a favor? Can you go to, hover over your image.
All right.
And then I want you to either spotlight yourself or pin yourself.
Yeah.
There we go. Now you should see those small little boxes of everyone at the top, right? Or
well, actually, I'm seeing everyone over to the side.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, no worries.
Yes.
So then find the image with me on it, and then hit and hover over it, and then find the 3 dots. And what are your options there? Does it say to add a pin?
Add pin.
Yes, let's do that.
There we go.
Okay, so, all right, great. Now, so we won't be before you long, but I just want to actually, share in our conversation today. You probably have noticed these very unique images, and I'm going to share my screen briefly with you so you can see these little images. And there they are. And let me just maximize. So we got these emails with these cute little ads, and I'm sure you can guess what they are. And if you're saying that they're a turtle, it's close in the same family, but not the same thing. But it is a tortoise. And so these tortoises have been in conversation this past week. And I started noticing these little tortoises. And I was wondering, I was like, what is Patty doing? What is Patty going through? I think
That's what I thought too, Jay.
It's like,
That's what I thought too.
I was like, huh. I was like, okay. I was like, what does she have up her sleeve? And then I'm seeing the tortoises on the road. And the tortoises are really like lead the way. And I was like, these are really slow looking images, but I'm sure that that we'll get there. And over time, they come up and I just was like, huh. So I'm gonna let Patty tell you a bit of the messages from our reptilian friends here. And trust me, it is not about University of Maryland. It has everything to do with something else. And I'm going to allow for her to explain and express that. And then I will riff.
Okay, well, yeah, so I was feeling a little bit creative, I guess, and knowing that, first of all, I had read an article about the tortoise being endangered and actually even near extinction. And so I was doing some reading and what types of things were impacting this tortoise population right here in the United States. And there was one thing in particular that stuck out, was that the bird, the raven, had been introduced into the desert environment, and up to just recent times, there weren't ravens living in the desert. But now there is an overpopulation of ravens because people feed them. They have bird feeders and there's plenty of food for ravens, including baby tortoises. Now, baby tortoise has a very, very soft shell. So it isn't protected like the adult tortoise. So they're fair game for ravens, and hence, you know, the population is decreasing, and there's all sorts of things that are, you know, put out to people, you know, not to feed the birds, don't feed the ravens, you know, do what you can to keep the raven population down. And then for the adults, you know, the adults will bury themselves into the desert, and the desert ground for the heat of the day, you know, through the night, you know, for added protection. And then you have the humans coming in with their off-road, you know, vehicles, and of course driving over where these adults are, you know, buried below the surface of the ground. And so they're finding their demise in that way. So for any tortoise to survive in the desert is a great feat for them. And so I was thinking about SVES. And, you know, we've been together for 7 years, and it does seem like a great feat for survival. And what would mean, you know, for us to make a journey like these tortoises did from the desert, across the nation, down the highways, and make it to Susquehanna Valley Ethical Society, you know, defeating all of those things that could have been in their way for survival. But they pursued, they persisted. They made it here because they heard that this was a place of vitality, of life. As the one turtle said, following the other up the ramp into our building, you know, I'm feeling a vibe here. And I, you know, was like, you know, what would it be for others to, you know, whatever's out there in their way from being part of our community, you know, if they could just feel the vibe, the life that we have here, that whatever was standing in their way, they would persist, they would get here, they'd commit themselves to being in our community.
I heard this, and so this was shared with me. Patty gave me a call about this, and I thought I was going to like build. I didn't even realize how dark it got in this room. Wow, that's really cloudy. Give me a quick second. These classic lights. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. All right, that should be a little bit better. You know, and I listened to the concerns, and I saw the comparison, and I thought to myself, what a metaphor for some of us to sit with. What a metaphor. And as I think about our terms and our ways in which we've even entered this space today, Livia talking about trauma and community trauma on top of trauma, right? And how we can almost look at that almost like the raven coming in, how we can look at our experience with needing to find a place for ourselves within our unique and eclectic ways of being, because we don't want to live in a box, right? So we found and we discovered that in some way that the term humanism that holds our worldview to share in us not living in a box, where we could hold all kinds of worldviews and various perspectives and ideas, and also bravely engage them without feeling like we have to shrink because we might see something different than someone else. I find the story and this kind of metaphor of the tortoise to be very similar to that of ethical culture, to that of the Valley, to that of humanism at large. And that's very hard for me to say. And as much as I don't want to say such things to you, I don't want to lie to you. I am held to be accountable, because that is the struggle of having to reimagine our way of living together. I'm not saying surviving together. Living together is important, because living together says that we find ways and we connect in ways that actually call us to respond to those who are in need of living and surviving. And so I hope that we gather a deeper sense of commitment. I hope that we can figure out ways that we can bond together, maybe develop a relationship where we not only have just a connection as just people on a Zoom or people on Facebook who hear us, or just word of mouth connection, but we actually have fellowship and that we actually have friendship. I look at the tortoise and I began to kind of read a bit. And when I read a bit of the information, what was one of the things that really set out for me, that really kind of moved me, was there's a part in as I put in the chat, there's a part that talks about two things. Desert tortoises are also threatened by several diseases, such as upper respiratory tract disease, often found in captive tortoises. Captive tortoises. Pet owners releasing sick tortoises into the wild have resulted in disease being spread to the wild tortoise. When I hear that, my mind metaphorically begins to run rapid, because I immediately think of how many spaces we are in captivity in, and that we experience hardship, that it actually threatens us in engaging with others who could love us. And what ends up happening is we end up with toxins from other pieces of other folks' attitudes, and possibly our job has run us down, or possibly family members have scrutinized us for a long period of time, and we really don't even feel like we are our best self. So when we come into this space, we bring that to this space. It's hard for us to see ourselves when everybody else has already infected the way that we breathe in ourselves. It's a respiratory issue. It's hard to breathe with folk who are already toxic, who are already polluting our environment with their own human condition that actually doesn't help us prosper or feel good about ourselves. And so when we come in here, it's very hard for us to muster the energy to carry, because we have already faced challenges before we got here. The other part of the tortoise that was very concerning is the fact that there are a lot of off-road vehicles. And when people go and visit areas of the desert, they end up rolling over top of their shells. And a shell is hard. but it's not that hard. We would think that that would be the greatest protection of such a big and solid reptile. But they got to take care of that shell. And how do we as a community take care of our own shell, our own personal space, right? How do we take care of this space? How do we develop a shell even within the valley? How do we strengthen it? How do we allow for the shell? I mean, if we look at what, just for a moment, if you will, if I might engage you intellectually a little bit further, and I know Guy likes this, if Guy was like, let's go computer savvy, I should have talked to him earlier, because I would have loved to have found out what a tortoise shell is made of. And, but if you don't know, the shell is made of two pieces. There is a carapace, which is the top, and then there is the plastron, which is the bottom. And they are fused together, right, on each side with what is called as a bridge. Okay, so the top is a carapace and the plastron is the bottom, and it is fused together by a bridge. And the carapace covers is covered by an outer layer called scutes. And technically, it's made of what is called keratin, and so keratin is very similar to like a hair or a nail. But that's how it works. And so this is kind of the anatomy, if you will, of the tortoise shell. And there's so much that makes up and strengthens the tortoise shell, and the structure of the tortoise shell, that when we look at it, if the term that I was just looking at, the keratin actually is very similar to hair and nails, then we should realize the kind of care that's required. Because anybody who actually goes and gets their nails done or gets their hair done realizes that you don't just go get it done. You actually require a lot of hair care. Your scalp requires care. Your hair needs to be nourished. Your cuticles need to be done a very particular way. And that is to maintain and strengthen the nail bed. It is to maintain and strengthen the pores in the scalp to produce hair without losing hair. Some of us, I know, I don't have that luxury, as I look at some of my dear friends. But right, the sense of care that goes into that is so important. And so we have to, I would like to think that some of the ingredients that we put out today are our keratins, our bond, our energy, our fellowship, our friendship. That's our keratin. And we've got to commit to those things, those values. Those are yours. Those are yours. And they keep you coming back. So you can imagine the kind of care that you need. So you can imagine what it looks like or feels like when your sensibility of care, your sensibility that says, how do I maintain myself in this community? It informs some of the things about what the Valley shows up and does collectively. Those collective things are being able to realize that in this space, our keratin collectively says that we are important and we are unique. that we are important and we are unique. Hopefully some of you are on mute and maybe can whisper that I am important and I am unique. And you can say that to yourself. Because that's one of our values when we think about the way that we care for the shell that we have. Because I don't believe that we have to be extinct if we believe that we are very much so alive. That in this space, we deserve to be treated fairly and kindly. And if you reflect on that and make that personal, I deserve to be treated fairly and kindly. That in this space, not only can I learn, but I will learn from everyone. Right? That I will learn from you and the person next to me in my Zoom box. Somebody on Facebook is learning from this group right now. Somebody maybe on Instagram or on YouTube is taking the moment to just take us in and learn so that they can actually get rid of some of the toxicity of their week. That we are a part of the earth. We treasure it. Just like the tortoise buries itself in the ground, it trusts the earth to find sanctuary. It trusts the earth to find safety. It trusts the earth and all of it with all of its life. Right? And so here it is that we, and I myself, I trust the earth. We trust the river, but we've got to take care of the river as we do it, right? The world around me is what our core value says. The world around me by you, that I learn from the world around me using my senses, my mind, and my feeling. We are pouring our whole self into the experience, not just the experience of trying to live, right, productively for the sake of just producing, but we are living within purpose, that we engage all of our sensibilities and showing up for one another, seeing one another as we should see ourselves, as reflections of beauty in the world, creativity in the world, life-giving opportunities in the world, and shaping our minds and our ability to share that with each other is something that we do. That's the bridge building, if you will. That's the bridge to our shell or our carapaces, right? That's the bridge. It's putting the two pieces together. We got to have a good foundation while also having a good shell. We are members to a global community, and we work for peace and justice. I was excited to meet Amir's mother because I know she traveled a long way to be with her family. And in knowing that, I realized that the Valley has a global impact. We cannot take any of our quote guest lightly. We cannot just show up and just connect with them. They are our family, and we are a part of a global community and a beloved community that depends on us to cooperate and engaging and in finding practices of peace and justice together. The moment of having dinner together with Phyllis and Patty and Mike and Amir all together to just realize, how can we incorporate peace? Peace is sometimes just eating together, feeding each other. Justice is being able to share in the conversations together and be seen and know that there's a place at the table for you. Here, as we keep trying to construct this shell, we see the opportunity to ask actually what most traditions cannot do. We get to ask questions. We are free to question. We are free to have curiosity. We are free to be courageous, and we are free to explore and have possibility. That if we are unsure today, or if we are unsure last week, or if we were unsure about something, in the end, we know that that we are the answer that we've been waiting for. But we have every right to ask the question so that we can be the answer. We get the opportunity to choose our values and what we actually believe in. And they don't have to be shared collectively or on a vast scale where everybody has to have a vote or say so in it, but we get to see and edify ourselves by the practice of first believing in what we know in hopes that we can share it together. We are like the tortoise. We strive. We strive. We strive on roads. We strive in environments. We strive in hard temperatures. We store up, even just with the bit of maybe refreshing water or whatever have you. As I was reading, it says that the tortoise actually saves up water, if you will, in a reservoir, right? It stores it in its bladder for several months. We've got to be able to store this experience, store our community. When I talk about the experience, I'm not just talking about me talking and Patty talking and us getting together. I'm talking about this experience. This is an experience. This thing, for a moment, let's just, there's a reason why you kind of you've always seen me say this is the Valley, because it's an experience. It's very different. I don't go anywhere else. I don't have to go engage with other congregations like that, because here I get an experience that's different than everybody else. I know the prescribed program, but we're not doing programs here. We are doing experiences. We're not just doing a moment where we're going to have things always in order. We're going to share in a collective experience. And sometimes we won't know what will come up, but we are happy that you showed up as you are, right? And that's how we strive in doing this work. It is taking that moment to really embrace the experience that we are as a Valley and not giving up on that, not letting go of that, not getting tired in all of our doing, and not getting tired in actually connecting, and not getting tired in trying to find the Zoom link, and not getting tired and also just trying to get down the street. It don't matter. I'm so glad that you are here. And I'm so glad that we are deciding, even little by little, by and by, as my grandmother would say, that we have the opportunity to walk alongside each other in this work. In this work. Because that's the Valley experience. You can connect it with ethical culture. You can connect it with humanism. You can connect it with congregation. You can connect, but it's an experience. The Valley is a culture all by itself, filled with unique possibilities. And it's because of the words that you said today that I actually believe that we can strive. I'll leave you with this final statement that's from Maya Angelou. She says in a poem called When Great Trees Fall, at the very end, she says, we are better because they existed. We are better because they existed. Can I turn it on to you right now and just, I am better because you exist, right? I am better because you exist and you are in my circle and we exist together in this formation together to create these experiences together. It's that informs my process. It's the connection. It's the traveling to Pittsburgh and staying up at 3 a.m. It's all of that. It's us together. It's going and sitting with Olivia and riding from New York all the way to Lewisburg and then driving down to Ohio. It's all of those experiences that allow for us. It informs my process to sit and have a fire made with Mike and sit there in the middle of the late night and work on my computer. It informs my process. It's my process, and it's my process that is also filling my purpose, because it's an experience. I invite you to keep bringing your experience, so that my shell, so that your shell, so that us as a community, as a shell, can be strengthened together. I thank you so much for being here with us. I'm going to turn it over to Patty. And I know we are already at time, which I don't think it really needs much of a discussion, but I hope that this just warms your heart as it did mine as I listened to Patty share with me, and that we can just keep moving forward.
Thank you so much. And I know that each of us is going to take this, what we experienced right here together, take it with you all through the week, and come back again next Sunday and be in community with us. And love you all. Thank you.
Y'all be good. Y'all be good.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
Yes,
Mhm.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you all.
Bye.